Three. Beautiful. Welcome, welcome. Um, First off, do you confirm your previous consent for me to record this interview?
Yes.
Beautiful. So, if you wouldn't mind taking a second explaining who you are, kind of what our relationship is, how you know me, all that fun stuff.
All right. So Bruce Thurman, I am the father of Lucas Thurman, who I am speaking with.
Beautiful. And then, where do you work and how long have you been in the role?
Work at Edwards Life Sciences, been here about 2.5 years. It's a medical device company, but I've been in the medical device pharmaceutical field for a little over 25 years.
Beautiful. Do you enjoy it?
Some days are better than others.
I feel like that's everywhere. So let's just get right into it. Keep it
Okay.
easy. Which industry is or was representative of the organization you currently work for? And then what is or was your role and how long have you been in that position?
So medical device field, been in the role here for 2.5 years in this organization, and then the entire industry for over 25 years at this point.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And then what specifically do you do in this role?
I lead our Polymers Center of Excellence, which is essentially a fancy way to say I look at materials um, on different medical devices. So how do the materials withstand use in the body or withstand aging so that they can be used in the body? And then are there any concerns associated with those materials?
Okay. Awesome. So, if you don't mind, consider your greatest career achievement in this role. And then if you wouldn't mind providing a few details for me, like the time period, the people, the products, and some of the services involved. What were some of the principles and strategies you used when you were doing this?
Well, I'm gonna cheat a little bit because in this role, it's not my greatest career achievement. So I'm gonna tell you about my greatest career achievement in my previous role, which is also within the medical device field. So very similar, but we came up with a new process, then implemented that process that allowed us to support a $500 million business. And so, very specific to that, it was making over 100 million units per year. So we not only had to consider how to do it technically, we had to consider how to be able to manufacture it. And so that was it. And then the whole process, anything you do in medical device and pharma, you have to go through the FDA. So I had to spend a lot of time with the FDA, sitting across tables and answering a lot of difficult questions. Eventually got that through. So that was, let's say, my biggest achievement.
Awesome. So to follow that up, why was this so, why do you believe it was so effective in the organizational outcome? And then more so, why do you have, or why do you consider it to be so impactful? I know you said you talked about how many units you were able to produce, but if you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, effective within the organization because it differentiated our product from anything that competitors can do. And then we also had intellectual property rights around that, which would keep competitors at bay. So essentially made a bunch of money for the company and in short order. What was the second question? Sorry.
Why was it so impactful?
um, made a lot of money for the companies. One, provided security for the business. And then because we were able to do it at scale, you're actually able to get it out to the customers so that, it's never a supply chain issue. You're able to say, hey, we have this improved product and we can get it to you. And then, frankly, anyone in the world.
Beautiful. That makes things easy. Um, so moving on, and then what kind of based on what we had just talked about, what was one of the significant challenges with that? Were there any ethical dilemmas that came along with it, or how did you handle those? What kind of brought those to your attention?
Yeah, I mean, challenges were questions from regulatory bodies, FDA. Those always create ethical dilemmas because you can lie. If you lie, you may get caught, you may not. If you get caught, your career's over. So it's a pretty good reason why not to. And then really, it's everything's data driven. So it's about, hey, what do I prove? And once I can do that with numbers and details, then I can stand there and argue with people as long as I need to, or try to convince them of, hey, based on this data, this is why this product is safe. This is why this product is an improvement. And this is why it ultimately should be implemented and allowed, to go to the public.
Beautiful. Was there a specific outcome that came along with that, or was it more so, like you said, it went all out to the public and that was the end of it?
Yeah, I mean it's a manufactured process now. It's continuing to grow. So yeah, you get approval from the FDA, you then launch that, and then slowly build up. We started with one SKU, so one product code, and then now it's 15 or 16 product codes with this process that allow us to go from a few million to hundreds of millions.
Beautiful. And then what specifically, I know you had kind of talked about like market conditions. Were you able to kind of dilute those a little bit more because you were able to go direct to consumer? Did that kind of take away from that process, or was that a big issue that you guys had to face as well?
A little different with medical device. Don't necessarily go direct to consumer. We go through healthcare organizations. So whether that can be direct to the hospital in some instances it's to broader like purchasing groups, group purchasing organizations, so GPOs they're called. So you can sell to either one of those. Tend to be more to the GPOs because you bundle in a bunch of hospital systems and then that way they get a discount. So that tends to be our target, or was the target audience, in driving that, and just really then it's able to then carry to more and more individuals getting to use it and the benefit of the product.
Beautiful. And then thank you for that. Thank you for that information. So moving along towards the end here, what kind of was the mission, vision, strategy of the organization? And then from an entrepreneurial mindset of that, how were you able to achieve this mission and this vision that you guys kind of had within this role?
Mission and vision get pretty close together. It's improving healthcare, improving the lives of people. So that's it. The strategy around that is finding big unmet clinical needs. So what are the things out there that are not in the field today that is needed? And so then you go after those, you tackle those, and then those drive value. If it's a Me Too product, it doesn't add as much value. Um, you're now playing on price and then cost, how well you can manufacture it, versus if you got a differentiated product, it gives you the opportunity to essentially sell that for more. What was the last part of the question?
Uh, what you talked about it, what was the strategy of the organization? You kind of
Okay.
gone through that. The follow-up part to that would be as it relates, I know you're Christian specifically, we talk a lot about servant leadership. And portion of this, how would you be able to serve others? How would that be able to benefit you? I know you had already kind of touched on that, but if you could just run through that
Yeah,
one more time for me.
I'll talk to it two ways. One, from servant perspective, you're providing that ultimately to an end user to prevent a negative outcome for them. So from a healthcare perspective, you're doing something that's going to improve the life of someone else. And so from that, you want to put your best foot forward. That's where it goes back to those ethical dilemmas. Make the right decisions so that when you put that product out there, it's doing it the right way. The other piece of that is in a leadership position inside the company. It's how do I treat people? How do I put people forward? We needed to get this done. Jobs were, driven towards it. Compensation was driven towards it. How do you get this through? But you do that in a fashion where you bring people along with you, not sacrifice people along the way. So it's easy to climb your, I should say it's easy, but you can climb your way to the top, but how many bodies do you leave behind you? That's not how you want to get there. So you want to bring the whole team together so everyone's standing together at the top.
Beautiful. That's what we love to hear. So the last question I've got for you, it's kind of the end of the interview, so this is less about the role and more just kind of about you. Apart from servant leadership and that entrepreneurial mindset you had talked about, could you identify two significant lessons or attributes that are essential for success? Something you would tell me or something you would tell one of my classmates that you see as a reason for success?
Grit, determination, that kind of rolls into one. How hard are you willing to work? If you're going to work 8 to 5, then you'll be 8 to 5 successful. I had calls on weekends, at night. I traveled. I did whatever the heck required to get the job done. That will go a long way in individual success. Um, I think the other one is learning from your failures. So you're going to make mistakes. Things are going to not work as expected. So how do you handle that? Do you make that mistake 5 times in a row, or do you learn from it? And then the next time that kind of opportunity comes up, you're doing it a different way. you're getting over the hump. So, you know, kind of that determination there of, hey, I'm still going to get through it. I'm just going to have to do it a different way.
Beautiful. So that actually answered part of the second question, which was, is there anything you wish you would have or have avoided specifically that may have derailed the success of you in this role or the business? You kind of touched on that, but
Yeah, I mean, there's individual failures along the way that, knowing what we know now, we would have done things differently. There's studies we would have run that the FDA asked for proactively instead of waiting to be asked for them. So, those kinds of things. I think our determination to succeed never waned, and that allows us to succeed. But we learned along the way, and that helped us subsequent areas on subsequent product launches that went through much more quickly.
beautiful. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. That's all I've got for you at the moment. Obviously, we'll let you know once presentations and stuff are complete how everything turned out. But thank you for all the information. It's great to hear from you.
Absolutely. Take care, buddy.
Thanks, Ed. Bye.
Bye.